But what I was wondering is, are there certain basic, I know that I hear terms like flams and paradiddles and things, are there only about 3 or 4 of these things and then it's all made up from that?
No, there's you know, there's only 2 rudiments in the drum, you know. There's either a tap or a roll, and all these embellishments comes from either a tap or a roll, you see. But then they give names to certain things like the paradiddle, which is in 2/4 time only a group of semiquavers, and it's done so that you can get so many permutations with the hand. You see, it's all done like permutations.
What does it sound like?
Well, if
There are no lamps here, there
oh, hear that. Paradiddle, yeah? It's done on a... Can I play this drum? Huh?
By all means.
Paradiddle. But mind you, the paradiddle was meant to be something that would go like this, and it would alternate the hands, you see? But the thing is, with syncopation and all that, it can make a lot of different sounds. Sort of things that can go on, you know.
It's what you're doing is just accenting a different one of the beats,
right,
one of the taps.
But it's also syncopation, you
yes,
see.
of course.
And this is subdividing the note, putting the notes, you know, half of the value of notes, so you can see how the whole idea can be.
Drummers have to be very accurate at reading music, I would imagine, eh?
Well, it's not a case of being very accurate. I think it's very wrong to be playing an instrument and not knowing the value of notes that we play, you know.
Well, you're talking to the great bulk of pipers, I'm sure, when you say that.
Well, I think drummers, a lot of drummers is the same. But then again, we're getting better, you know. We're getting a lot of people that's serious-minded.
Yes, and in fact, in piping, this is one of the big drawbacks, because the tunes were written so badly that, you know, what you did in the old days, even marches and Suspicious and reels, you just get somebody to sing it to you, then you know how it goes and you play it. But now, people can read music accurately. They've been taught in the schools, and so they play the thing as it's written, which might well be wrong.
I think the pipers are better than the drummers to a certain extent, although pipe music is relatively simple, you know, compared with some of the rhythms that's done nowadays in the drum. But it's amazing just how many drummers, very, very good drummers, that doesn't read too well.
No.
And I think that's a bad thing, because they are good at playing the instrument, so the reading is only an academic.
Sure, that doesn't take long.
So that shouldn't be there. Should never be there.
Yeah. You know, you've, over the last year, say 20, 30 years, there's been this big change in drumming.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think there's anything else you can do now?
Oh,
yes.
Limit? I think there's going to be a real upsurge, not just in the drumming, but in the piping and pipe bands too. I think we're going to get an awful lot of different ideas. For instance, there's a band in Canada doing an awful lot of good
The 78th in Toronto.
This Bill Livingston, and I think he does a wonderful thing there. He has really stirred up the pot, and he's making people think.
Yes.
Your sense?
Well, that's a good thing, but, you know, you feel some of the things they do are gimmicks.
Quite true. This slur that he plays in the chanter, well, I mean, that's a gimmick, but I mean, he does other awful good things. I mean, that's a gimmick, that one, I admit that, but he does an awful lot of good ideas that other people may shun and put aside as bad piping and all that, you know, and it's not really.
Well, every person who brings in a new idea always gets, you know, the thumbs down to begin with, and it doesn't matter who it's been throughout the centuries, that's it. What in drumming? I mean, that's in piping that he's doing things, but what else can you do in drumming, or should you not tell people?
You know how people talk about the drumming, they now talk about percussion, you know, this is the great word percussion used in a musical sense. And in the percussion, there's a lot of things can be done there. I can see in the future where it'll be more subtle sounds that will be used, you know, really.
You said you had cymbals for that. Would you ever want cymbals in the pipe band?
I don't see why not. It's a percussion sound. Anything you strike is percussion.
How would it go in a competition if you turned up with that? I mean, they judge piping and drumming and ensemble. You would get no points for the piping and the drumming. It would just be for the ensemble. The cymbalists would get something, eh?
Well, you know, If we turned up in the pipe band contest with a pair of cymbals and gave a lovely big,
Or a glockenspiel or
or a
something.
glockenspiel or something like that, all depending on what the pitch the bagpipe pitch is.
Well, that's rising all the time. You've got to go chasing after it.
Oh, yes, I don't see why. I think that there's many different ways percussion can be done. I mean, it's all done in other orchestras, and I don't see why a band and other types of bands do. The military reed band has cymbals and triangles and glockenspiels now. But it may not be in the sort of pipe band idiom. I don't know. But in concert work, I don't see why it shouldn't be done in concert work. You know.
Over the years, you know, these, well, I think they're gimmicks in pipe bands, but some of them are obviously going to be accepted in work, you know. The technique of the pipers hasn't improved any in the last 50 years, I'm sure.
You don't think so?
I don't think the technique of the playing, the actual technique, but I think the technique of drummers has been very much more demanding over the last 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, there was a big surge, a big...
Do you think maybe the drummers couldn't do anything else about 30 or 40 years ago? I mean, were they not competent to do it?
No, I
just
don't
didn't
think...
have
well, I honestly think that it was at the stage where there was a sort of evolution, you know. It came step by step. There was no one individual did this. It was several different people.
I thought you had done it all.
Oh, no. I was only contributing my own wee bit there. No, there were people that added things, and it was a step. See, there was no authority to tell us what to do. You know?
No.
I mean, you take the Crimmins and all that. I've heard about the piping and all that. This is the way it's done. This is the way it should be done.
Of course, and we don't change it, we just keep it.
But there was also a very good basic, you know, the Otto Langley tutor and that, which my father had. My father taught me. And he was taught with in the 8th Argyles in the 1914-18 war. So he was taught with a fellow by the name of John Coots, who must have been really good because it was the proper rudiments, as is today, that he was showed.
That hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed.
No.
So these people in their day, they were good drummers because they played the rudiments.
Well, thank you, Alec. That's been a marvellous contribution to the Piper's tune. But I think we're going to ask you to get your drum corps together again and play something for us to go on.
Certainly. Wait till I get this bonnet on. Thank you.
Thanks, Alec.
Ready, lads? 1, 2.